So you're collecting vintage Star Wars action figures, and you collected all 96 or 107 and all the variants you can handle. But do you really have them all? In this video, I'm gonna show you what action figures I think you need in order to have a complete set of vintage Star Wars action figures. Are these action figures? You be the judge. Welcome back to the channel. In previous videos, I went over all the action figures released from each of the original movies that were made by Kenner in between the years of 1978 to 1985. So if you want to go back and watch those, there's a link in the description. But in doing those videos, I only showed the ones that came released mint on card. There are so many others that we're going to go over today, and I think make a complete set of vintage Kenner Star Wars action figures. Some you may agree with, and some you may not. So if you like watching videos like this about vintage and modern action figures, like this video and hit that subscribe button. So let's start at the beginning. 1978. And we're gonna start with the Death Star Space Station. This was a playset that had 4 levels of play areas, and on the bottom level was an orange plastic trash compactor that came with the Dianoga Trash Monster. In the movie, we never got to see the full character, but Kenner had to imagine what this creature looked like, and this is what we got. It's not a big figure at all, fitting in the palm of your hand, and it's not hard plastic, but it feels like rubber, and there's no articulation in this figure whatsoever. No paint apps, so I can see why some collectors call this an accessory and not a figure. But I do think it's an action figure. I was able to get mine loose for a price of $69.85, which I then got graded at a 90 by CAS. And I also got one loose in fair condition, gifted to me from a viewer that I placed in my collector displays case. Right now, they're selling on their own for average prices of $60 on eBay. The next figure is one of the most popular variants in the entire Kenner line, the blue Snaggletooth. Although I don't really see it as a variant or an error, I see it as a playset exclusive figure. It came with the 1978 Cantina Adventure set, which was a Sears exclusive, with 3 other action figures featured in the Cantina scenes. You could have also gotten the blue Snaggletooth in a 2-pack with Greedo from the Sears Holiday Catalog in 1978, and both this pack and the Cantina Adventure Set figures were replaced by the smaller and redder Snaggletooth. To see my video on the history of why this happened, there's a link down in my description. But here's the short version. Kenner got a black and white reference photo, so they guessed, and made the figure blue and tall, and they even gave him great 70s space boots. The updated figure was short, red, and had furry feet. This figure comes with the blue-black Rebel Blaster. The blue Snaggletooth comes with a dent in the right foot, which some say is a flaw in the mold, as other figures made later in the runs don't have this dent. So it may be a factory error, or the metallic mold itself had an imperfection in it. I have both versions. My dented one is graded at an 80, which I got for $725 at Dallas Vintage Toys in 2021. And my loose, non-dent version I got for $425 from a Facebook seller. Today, a loose dented blue Snaggletooth in great condition will run you averages of $475, and a non-dent will run you about $550. I guess the price is telling you which one's more valuable, but to me, I love them both. The Patrol Dewback was released in 1979, and I used this to battle Godzilla when he would try to attack my Star Wars toys. True story. And let's get this elephant in the room over with. A Dewback isn't an action figure. It's a mindless creature. Well, I think it is an action figure, and it's got action, it's articulated, it's a figure in my book. It just has 4 legs. Call it a vehicle if you must, but to me, and in my collection, it's an action figure. A larger action figure, but it's a figure. Do you agree or disagree with me? Let me know in the comments. The Patrol Dewback came with a spring-loaded latch to have a figure right on top. It also came with saddle and reins, which these days, the reins usually come broken, so when buying them, ask about that. Also, sellers will try to repair these reins and not tell you, so ask about that before you buy. And document that conversation, because if it comes to you and you find that they have been repaired by adhesive, you can return the item because, well, it wasn't sold as advertised. I got my B version box. It's the B version if it has this promotion on the box. I got this from the Vintage Alliance on Facebook for $175 in 2021. And right now, in 2023, these are selling for average prices of $310. Loose and complete, they are selling for average prices of $80. Just make sure that the reins aren't broken. The Droid Factory was released in 1979 and came with a bunch of parts that you could use to make droids. Honestly, I think this is one of the best toys to come out in the entire Kenner line. The best part is that you can make an R2 unit that came with a third leg. I have two versions of this playset, one in an Empire Strikes Back box and the other in the original Star Wars box. And I did full reviews on both of these, and links to watch that will be in the description. But I also picked up a loose version of just the R2 unit because I do think this is a critical figure to have in your loose collection. There is so much history and uniqueness in this figure that if you don't have one, I think your collection is not complete. And I was able to get an okay version from a seller on the Imperial Commissary on Facebook for $100.50 in 2021. And you can find them selling in the wild for average prices of $100 for okay versions. So prices are steady on this in 2023. But your best bet is to hunt for a complete Droid Factory set. The Tauntaun was first released in 1980 by Kenner for the Empire Strikes Back line of toys. This was the closed belly version and came with the saddle, reins, which again, they always break, as well as a compartment to place your figures in to ride. There is articulation in the arms and legs, but not the head. I have an okay box one that I bought for $50 at TC's Rockets right here in San Diego, and I bought a loose one for $65 from a seller on Facebook. Yeah, I paid way too much for that one. I was impatient. I was a young Padawan when I bought that one. My buy it now figure was trigger happy. You can find them today on eBay, complete with unbroken reins and saddles for average prices of $35 to $40. The Turret and Probot playset came out in 1981 for the Empire Strikes Back wave of toys. And just as the name suggests, the Probot was one of the main features of this. Now, why they didn't call it a probe droid? It's kind of beyond me, but maybe the marketing department over at Kenner thought calling a toy a probe was a little too weird. I can totally get on board with that. But yes, I do think this fits really well with a collection of loose Star Wars action figures, and this toy could have sold pretty well all on its own. Its head is articulated. All of the arms are articulated, at least in the joints that connect to the body. And I bought my loose version in a complete playset for $60. And right now you can find the figure by itself for prices averaging $30 to $40. So if you can find a complete Turret and Probot playset for the same amount or a little more, I'd rather do that instead. The next one may be a stretch, and I actually don't have this yet. I mean, I did when I was a kid, and I wish I still had it. It's the Slave One, but we aren't talking about the ship. We're talking about what came inside the ship. Han Solo in Carbonite. Slave One was released in 1981 for the Empire Strikes Back wave of toys. And when I had this Han in Carbonite, I actually kept it under Jabba's throne and not inside Slave One. But let's argue why this is an action figure. Well, it's a depiction of an action figure that's frozen inside Carbonite. It still displays well in an action figure case right next to your main figures or inside a diorama, and it still has play value with all other action figures. So why isn't it an action figure? Well, it's just a hollow piece of plastic with no articulation. I'm on the fence. What do you think? Right now, you can buy one online for about $40. You know what? I'm sold. I'm gonna get one. Okay, let's place a bid. Okay, outbid. Outbid again. And again. And again. All right, I'm gonna stop doing this. If any of you have a Han and Carbonite that you want to sell, just DM me. All my social media links are down in my description. In 1982, the open belly Tauntaun was introduced. It came with the same features as the 1980 version, except this time you can place action figures in the open slit on the belly to reenact the scene where Han saves Luke by stuffing him into the dead Tauntaun. Morbid, I know, but hey, that's survival. I got a boxed open belly Tauntaun gifted from my friend Mark over at Blue Harvest Vintage Toys right here on YouTube. So that was rad. Thank you very much, Mark. And I got a loose one for my case from the Imperial Commissary on Facebook for $33 in 2021. And right now, you can buy a complete loose version for average prices of $60. Just watch out for those broken reins. The Wapa was released in 1982 for the Empire Strikes Back line of toys. This figure only has articulation in the arms and legs, nothing in the head, And I do have a very nice complete box version that I got for $380. My loose version I got in 2021 for $33.14 on eBay. It's not perfectly white, but there are things you can do. I'm a purist and I don't do that, but you can get better versions online for prices of $30. So prices are staying steady in 2023. And I got this baby Wampa from my friends over at thenext17.com. The Jabba the Hutt action playset was released in 1983, and this comes with one of the coolest figures of all time, Jabba the Hutt. This is a perfect rendition of him. The detail in the mold and the paint apps are perfect. His face detail is spot on, and the eyes are pure perfection. This figure has articulation in the head, arms, and the tail. And I have one for my childhood collection, but the arm comes off. So I was able to get a perfect loose complete playset for $110 in early 2021. I do have a box version that I got for $275 that comes with everything sealed in baggies, the cardboard, and the paperwork. And there is a link to see more info on that review, and I love doing those reviews. So if you want to check that out, please do. But right now, you can get a loose complete playset for averages of $135. And if you just want to buy the Jabba the Hutt by itself, you can find them for sale for averages of $25. And how can I forget Salacious Crumb, who also comes in that same playset? It has articulation in the tail and the tail only, but the detail on this little guy is pretty cool in my opinion. Definitely brings out his ornery personality. And you can find loose standalone figures for average prices of $10 right now. The Rancor Monster was released in 1984 for the Return of the Jedi line of toys. If you consider this an action figure, then this is the biggest one made in the vintage line and is another one that shows off the level of detail and engineering that Kenner was getting so good at towards the end of the line. The body mold design is great. The face detail is perfection. This has a working jaw, articulation in the wrists, arms, and legs. And I do have an excellent complete box version that I got for $140 from a Facebook auction in 2021. And I got an okay loose version for $60 from a seller on Facebook in 2021. Right now, you can buy a loose Rancor in excellent condition for average prices of $85. Sice Noodles and the Rebo Band was released in 1984 for Return of the Jedi, in the only retail action figure set by Kenner that wasn't a repack of already carded figures. This came with 3 action figures: Sice Noodles, that comes with her plastic skirt and microphone; Droopy McCool, that comes with his clarinet-like horn; and Max Rebo, that comes with his keyboard and microphone. Now for this one, there is a rule. If Droopy's horn is black, then the mics have to be silver. If his horn is silver, then the mics have to be black. That's how they came packaged. I don't know why. I bought the box set in excellent condition for $375 in early 2021, and my loose versions I paid too much for because I made the mistake of buying the wrong accessories. So altogether, my loose figures came in at a high price of $225.22 for what I consider just okay figures. All you collectors out there, learn from my mistakes. Do what I do when I do it right, but when I do it wrong, just shake your head and say, I will never do that. Research your figures before you buy. This is a public service announcement from yours truly, the Padawan Collector. Right now, you can buy loose versions of the band in excellent condition for average prices of $200, and that's with a very blue Max Rebo. And it's always harder to find the Max Rebo Kenner versions without faded blue arms. The Lily Lady Mexico versions tend to always have blue arms. So now you can go back and watch this entire series to see every figure made from 1978 to 1985 and use these as a checklist. And there's a link to this entire playset down there in my description. And these are what I think are the loose action figures that make a complete Star Wars action figure collection. Hun and Carbonite may be a stretch, but what do you think? And I'm also making a mega edit out of all these videos. It's gonna be a 6-part series. That way you can watch them all in one go. So listen to it on a road trip while you're changing the oil in your land speeder, basically whenever you want. And make sure to visit all the links in my description to support the channel. There, you're going to find links for my merch shop, which, I might add, I have made some pretty cool new Padawan designs, so check those out. You can also go and buy your own collecting sheet from my website, as well as items that you may need to protect and display your collection. It's all at thepadawancollector.com. And if you want to support the channel further and become a member of my awesome community, you can join over at Patreon for as little as $2.50 a month. You're going to get access to videos before the public sees them, and also you get the entire catalog of my digital downloads, which includes my collector sheets. And if you'd rather keep your support here on YouTube, you can join for as little as 99 cents a month, where you get early access to videos weeks ahead of the public, member giveaways, member shoutouts, and more. And I thank all my channel supporters. Even by liking and subscribing, it greatly helps the channel. Without your support, videos like this would not be possible. And make sure to check out other videos on the channel, like the ones you're seeing on your screen now. And as always, my friends, thank you, and I will see you next time.
If you're new to the channel, check out the welcome video, or just check out the next episode. And please subscribe if you want to follow the journey. And remember, there is no shame in being a Padawan.